Today we're diving into train smarter versus train harder. What does it really mean? Like, what are we telling people? You might get the impression that you can't train with intensity, that the sessions shouldn't be hard. And that's not what we mean. There needs to be some intensity. There needs to be some effort, but it doesn't have to be like, balls to the wall, dead on the floor, 6 days a week, every single time.
Yeah. And when I'm talking about training smarter, I'm talking about intentional, well-structured programming, and that builds you and doesn't break you. And intensity, but with a purpose, just like you said, and scaling or modifying workouts and a solid recovery plan. And if every workout feels like a war zone, just like you said, it might be a sign, because instead of continuing to kill those workouts that you enjoy and that you typically thrive in, you start to see a decline in performance and possibly plateaus.
Yeah. And I think even beyond the physical, you start to see the sort of mental and emotional toll it takes. So you'll see athletes start to become sort of bitter and resentful and like have a little bit of apathy towards training and like not really feeling like they want to show up. And in addition to those niggling injuries, like you start to get the joint pain, you're not sleeping as well. So like it's a vicious cycle. Something that I will tell myself when I'm in a session, and if I can feel like, hey, like today needs to be like dialed back a little bit, or maybe I'm not going to do as much as I originally intended to. I'll often just say to myself, rest today for a stronger tomorrow.
And don't be afraid to make those decisions on your own. If your coach says, it's a 90% day, I want to see some close to failure effort, and that means lowering the weights and still getting close to failure. That might be what you have to do. Or maybe you do less sets, or maybe it's just a 50% effort day and you just need to move.
Something I've done as I've gotten older is I've moved away from like really specific percentage-based training, and I've relied more on rate of perceived exertion, because I can't be tied to a certain number because I just don't know if that number is going to move.
And that's a question I get a lot, is what percentage should I work at today? And it's like, well, have you been here in the last week? Did you sleep well last night? Like, if I tell you 80%, I might be setting you up for absolute failure or feeling like a failure because you couldn't even get close to reaching any of those percentages. So we have to consider more things than just what is written on the board in percentages. And that's, rate of perceived effort, I think, is far more valuable.
Hopefully like that makes sense to people and they can understand, like, train smarter versus harder doesn't mean don't try. It just means like, be intelligent about it.